Well, originally, I'd done some other martial arts before, and I'd become more interested in Thai. I'd trained with some people who had trained it themselves, and I really enjoyed the actual style that they brought to the gym I was at. So I remember just looking online. I remember looking at Muay Thai gyms in London, and this one came up on a list, and it had a picture of the old bag room, and it just looked, to me, it looked really authentic in the sense that it's what you want an old boxing gym to look like. It looked like proper. So I remember coming down to a trial, and I think it was Brad coaching, or it was Coach Bill. But I just loved it. I love the teaching style. I love the way they give you a big history on the actual sort of culture of Thai and how the sport develops over here. And for me, after I did that, I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. I want to do this. And I had no aspiration of, as I said before, I had no aspiration of fighting originally. But the more I did it here, the more I just realized I want to be here 6 days a week. I want to train. I want to train with the next group. Okay, I'm good now. I want to train with the next group after that. And that culture that they give you here, the opportunity to train at a high level, I took to it. I absolutely loved it. I'd not considered what the training would be like, and training here, one of the things they were quite hot on was when you're doing your play sparring, for instance, there's an emphasis on don't rush ahead, don't rely on power and strength, because I've always been like quite a tall guy, quite a big guy. Don't rely on that. Try and refine your skill. Use this as an opportunity to actually get better at something. And that style of training kind of changes your mindset, and it teaches you to be calm and understand. And even when I teach now, the one thing I'll always try and pass on is you have to learn to relax and stay composed, because when you're learning in the gym, that's exactly what you're trying to do. You're trying to learn, get your skills better. So if you do want to fight, when the bell goes, bang, you're ready. And then it's 5 rounds of max effort. But if you go in with a kind of violent mindset, I think sometimes it can hinder you, and it's very draining as well. So when you're fighting, obviously, you're trying to do everything with intention, but you can't. I don't think I've ever really been like angry in the ring, because it wastes too much energy, and you make mistakes doing it. So you have to do everything with, as I say, intention, but you have to remain composed, otherwise it will get away from you. Like a lot of the guys I train with here, their style has been, the balance and composure of a fighter is going to make or break a fighter. And if I'm in the ring, and let's say I'm 2 rounds down, if I get emotional and my corner says, you got to go and get him, you got to go Muay Cow, knees, elbows, it's got to be forward pressure. If I'm emotional and I'm angry, I'm more likely to walk onto a mistake that could cost me the fight or get injured. But if I can stay calm and execute the plan properly, and actually sort of, again, think about what they want from me, think about what I need to do and apply it, I have much more chance of doing that. And it has happened in fights. I've been a round down or 2 rounds down, or I've needed to up the pace. But if I get emotional about it, I'm gonna cause a mistake, an error. If I can stay calm and execute it properly, I have more chance of clawing the fight back. I think I've done a few interclubs, and I really enjoyed them. And they'd gone, as interclubs go, they'd gone pretty well. I was finding not easy, but I was controlling my nerves quite well, and I was kind of getting quite comfortable being in the ring. So the chance for an amateur came up here, and I really wanted to see where I was. And at that time, I was training physically very hard, but mentally and in a skill-wise, a skill sort of set, I don't think I was there yet. But I kind of rushed to the chance to do it. And so I jumped myself on the first amateur, and actually I ended up getting knocked out in the first round. But for me, there were then 2 very clear paths from that. It was either, don't do that again, you could get hurt, or, all right, fix what went wrong and do it again. And I chose the second option. I went and worked on the skills that were needed to be better, because, at that time, I wasn't even close to sort of being ready to compete. If I look back at myself then, I would have not let myself compete. I would have said, work on it for a bit more. Because I had the attitude, but not the technique. And then after working on it for a while, you test yourself again. That went okay, and then again and again and again.
Yeah.
And that's just. I always say if I'd managed to get through that fight and not lose or maybe scrape a draw or whatever, I think it would have papered over a lot of cracks, and I could have maybe just got away with thinking, I've had a fight, I'm okay. But the fact that there was such a glaring problem with how I performed, it made me go, right, focus on this, fix that, and then and only then consider getting in the ring again. And I think, the lessons that you learn in the ring are unlike any other lesson you learn in sparring, in pad, anything you do. The ring is the greatest teacher. And again, that's when you're knowing your sort of your true self, your true ability. What you can look good hitting pads, you can look good in sparring. Your actual skill level is what people see in the ring. And I think if you're going to learn that way, sometimes it's the best way to learn. There's always a small part which was the main sort of little voice of concern was, oh my, what if you get knocked out again in your next fight, or what if you lose and get hurt again? But because I kind of knew straight away what I needed to fix and what I wanted to fix, I didn't pay too much attention to that. I thought, I'm going to take a few days off. I'm going to go back to the gym. And I was going to get back to training in a sensible manner. And I'm going to try and adjust what needs to be adjusted. And try not to pay too much attention to the voice of concern. Because I think, again, people who want to carry on fighting, you're always going to come to these scenarios, wins and losses, where you kind of always doubt yourself, or you always think the next day, is this really for me? And I think those who carry on doing it they're usually able to sort of just go, I'm not going to, it's fine, I know I can. And that's what happened. I put it to rest and said, no, I am going to do it. I'm going to fix what needs to be fixed. I'm going to go on to the next one, and I'm going to make sure it works. And it did. So after that fight, I'd gone back to train for a bit, and then I had the chance to actually go out to Thailand. So I went for a month, and I remember going, if they offer me a fight, I'll say yes. And if they don't, I'll just take a month of training, fine. And I trained for a couple of weeks, and they said, oh, we're going to get you a fight. And I was like, all right, fine. I knew it was going to be, pro rules. I knew it was going to be against probably another Westerner just because of my size out there. And I remember them saying, we've got you a fight. And I took it. And all I told myself in the lead up to it was just try and do your best in the ring. Don't worry who it is. If they're better than you, if you lose, whatever, just give a good representation of yourself. And because I had gone in with that mentality, it worked really well. I felt really comfortable in the ring. I ended up winning the fight. And from then I came back and sort of went, I think I want to do this more. Which was funny because then you came back from Thailand, and I was under no assumption I was going to immediately become an A-class fighter. I went straight back to M-class and started doing novice fights again, just to make sure, because, fighting some guy in Thailand who I don't know their training background compared to coming over here and getting in the ring with an A-class seasoned professional is probably not smart. I think once I knew I wanted to do it more, and I'd made the decision on my head, I'm going to actively try and fight for the gym more. I want to be part of this crowd. I want to represent KO where I can. And once I knew that there's a certain level you have to train at. Again, like most gyms will know, their fight team is comprised of people who are consistent and hardworking. And those are kind of like the base standards almost. So if anything, whenever I'm training or getting ready for a fight, I kind of ignore when people say, oh, you're training very hard, you're consistent. It's like, that's what everyone should be doing anyway. So yes, the level of training went up, the intensity went up, the quality of the people I was training with went up the higher I got up in the classes and stuff. And it just became the normal. And as I say, now that I coach here and I'm here most of the time, if I'm doing PTs or classes or whatever, I get the chance to train with like very, very good people on a regular basis. So that hard level of training just becomes very normal. It was an N-class fight, and I remember thinking, I have no idea what this person is going to be. I saw the poster, I didn't know how big they were going to be or anything like that. And again, going into it, all I thought was, oh God, don't get knocked out in the first round again. But it ended up being a pretty good 5-round clinch war, which I came away with a victory. So yeah, I'd say to myself again, just you've worked on stuff, show that you've worked on it. Win or lose at that point, I didn't really think too much about.
Well, how many fights have you had now?
9, just had my 9th fight.
9.
Yeah.
How many of those were A class?
2.
2.
2 been A class.
So what was that like, going from, let's say, B class, switching to A class? So now you're at full.
Yeah.
You're pro pretty much.
So yeah, I'd done a few pro-am fights, and I kind of got to the point where pro-am was going to be the level. I was like, right, I've done a few. Let's do pro-am here. Let's make this the sort of normal thing I ask for when I get matched.
Yeah.
And then once I got offered an A class, so my last fight, I was kind of like, it was very much, it'd been on my mind for a long time. I wanted to jump up. I wanted to go to A class. I want to perform at that level. And I was very eager to do it. So when the opportunity came, it was more like, in my head, I just went, well, it's an extra minute each round usually, and it's elbow pads coming off. Everything else pretty much stays the same. And I thought, this is what you want. Don't hesitate. Just say yes straight away. So I did. So it didn't take too much thinking, because it had been something for the back half of this year. I've been going, right, next year is going to be work up to A class, see if you can get to that level and start. If you're in Thailand or you're training all the time, it's always going to be A class fights, and you get used to that style of training and fighting. But over here, if I didn't have the necessary level of training and went straight to that high level, it would have just destroyed me, and I would have come away thinking I can't do this. But because I kind of went through the class system of N class, C class, then do a few pro-ams, then get used to that. By the time I got offered an A class, it wasn't a, what if I get hurt? It was more of a, this is what you want, let's go for it. My family have been very supportive of it. A lot of them have come to watch a lot of my fights, and they find it's difficult to watch someone fight. I can't imagine it's easy. We kind of get used to it, because when you watch another of your friends fight, you know what it's like in there. They have no idea. So for them to watch it is always a pretty nerve-wracking affair. But they've been very supportive of it. My girlfriend has been incredible with it. She kind of understands the sacrifice, needed, the camps and the way, I have to sort out all the nutrition and the training, coming back late. So it's been made easier by the fact that I have a very, very good network of people around me. And again, for them, it's something they can't quite fathom. So they love hearing about it. They love seeing it. Yeah. It's, again, like the temperament of the fighter is someone who's usually quite relaxed. A lot of the people I know from other gyms and fight shows and stuff like that, you just chat to them normally at shows. Like, you're just talking about what you doing on the weekend, how's your dog, and all that stuff, and all these sort of like throwaway subjects. And then you watch them fight, and they'll be absolute murderers. And it's all just really calm outside the ring. In the ring, completely different story. When I was working my way up through the gym, we had a slightly different fight team, and some of them have moved on. But the core sort of life of the gym, the main coaches and the main fighters have stayed relatively similar. And that offered for me, I'm very lucky that I'm relatively similar size to, say, Brad. So I get to train with him, which is for me an honor, because he's a very, very well-respected sort of name in UK Muay Thai. So to be able to train with him on a regular basis means I get a very high quality level of training, which I'm very grateful for. The other members of our fight team who've, all started to come through C class to B class, and some of them going to A class. Again, people my height, maybe a little bit heavier, maybe a little bit lighter, but there's a good mixture of skills. Some people more Muay Thai, some people more aggressive. We've got a mixture of kickboxers, flat out boxers, good clinchers. So you definitely get a nice mix in the team to train with. And because there is a good understanding of the consistency needed to be in the fight team, no one makes a song and dance about it. If you want to represent the gym, you know what the requirements are. There's a constant squad that is always there to help each other. And yeah, for that, it definitely helps you prepare for upcoming challenges. I mean, you can train, as I say, like you can train a fight camp a certain way. You've looked at your opponent, you might think they're going to do X, Y, and Z. Until you touch gloves in the middle of the ring, and you do the first few seconds, you have no idea what it's actually going to be like, early on when I started fighting, I'd say I relied mainly on just clinching loads, because at the sort of starter level, if you're a good clincher, you can usually get past quite a few fights and just focus on that close distance, grab knee, all that sort of stuff. It gets to a point where that gets very difficult later on. And so your style needs to change, your ability needs to change. And as I say here, one of the things we'll do is, when you're doing your play sparring, your tech sparring, is to run through different styles. Okay, sometimes I'm the counter fighter. Sometimes I'm the pressure fighter. I'll be a boxer now. I'll be long range kicker. Okay, I'm just going to chin down forward, non-stop forward for 3 minutes. So yeah, we get a chance to explore our styles. Everyone knows roughly what style they fit into the best.
Yeah.
But as I say, like, everyone should train the ability to have to change. Like, again, I've had fights where the first round I've gone, well, that didn't really work. And they go, no, it didn't. Change it completely. You've got to go clinch now for 4 hours, or you've got to go for pressure, or you've got to stay away. You have to be able to switch it up very quickly and know what to do. And we do train that a lot.
Excellent. So in terms of your last fight, your last fight was on what show, and how did that go?
So last fight was on the Lerdrit show in Maidstone, and I think it's the first show they'd done. And we decided to do A class actually during the sort of hand wrapping. The promoter came over and said, "Do you want to do A class?" They want to do A class. I was like, yeah, fine, all right.
During the hand wrapping?
Yeah. Proper like Thai style, like last minute change it. But yeah, that show, it was really good. I was on quite late in the card, and so I had a nice time to warm up and sort of get my head in the right space. I had a very good opponent from a really good gym, Hanuman, Edinburgh, I think, and I know they have some top guys up there as well. So I was fully expecting a hard challenge. And again, at this level, I don't ever think I'm going to get in the ring and have like an easy 5 rounds. I always know there's going to be some sort of problems. And it was good. Got good 5 rounds in. And yeah, I came away with a split decision. So I can kind of look at what I need to improve from that, and improve my game plan going on. But for the most part, I was happy with the performance. Again, there's always things I'm going to want to fix. I mean, it's in terms of getting matched and stuff, I'm relatively easy in terms of what I'll go with. If there's a show date that works, and I know that we might have a few people going on it, and there's someone in the weight range I can do we've got a similar experience, and I'll kind of go, yeah, okay, that's fine, that's good for me. In terms of who they are, I don't really know where I am in terms of, let's say there's the UK top 10. I don't know, of all the thousands of people training, I don't know where I sit in that list.
Yeah.
So I'm more interested in, okay, have we got a good experience? Is it going to be a good competitive fight? Yes. Bang. Can we both make the weight? Bang. Let's do it. That's the main indicator for me. I don't think I have the luxury of being able to sort of think about who I'm fighting yet, because, as you say, I'm early on in this career, even though I'm kind of much older than most people I'm going to come across. The idea for me is just to get as much experience as I can. I just want to do as much as possible until I can't, and then try and do it a little bit longer. Well, I mean, for me, like, training here and doing this has given me, as cliche as it sounds, has given me a kind of second life. Because before I did this, like 4 years ago or something like that, I did a completely different job. I was earning way more money, but I was miserable, generally really unhappy. And this kind of like a glimpse into this life.
Yeah.
And I thought, it'd be fun to train a lot of the time, and I really like doing it. And the more I became involved in it, the more I thought, oh, I'm doing it now. This is kind of cool. And now I'm sort of actively, fighting often and training all the time and trying to level up all the time. And it's put me on a path I generally never thought was possible. I didn't think I was going to be fighting continuously on the domestic scene as much as I was when I started. I hadn't thought. I thought, oh, I'm way too old for this. It's never going to work. But I generally love training. I love the group here. This place is my home away from home. And yeah, like fighting for me is single-handedly is the most exciting thing you can do. I think, as dangerous and hard it is also so incredibly fun to do.
Yeah.
In the sense that it's the ultimate test of your character, mentally and physically. You know, how can you measure yourself? And I think it's one of the things I feel quite proud to be able to sort of get in the ring and go, okay, bang, this is where I am. And yeah, I will, as I say, I will keep doing it. I love Muay Thai. I love the community that comes with it. I love running into the same people at shows. I love seeing their fights. I like what's being built, and I'll just keep doing it until I can't. I didn't start when I was sort of like young, like 12. And as much as that's annoying, because I thought, oh, what if I did start then? I didn't, and I just have to work with what I've got, which is this. And yeah, because I'm not aiming for a certain end point, there's no, oh, once I become X, Y, Z champ, I'll call it a day. It's kind of, for me, I know that I don't have as much time as a lot of other people are going to have. It's going to get harder and harder to cut weight to do fights. You know, still got loads left, but I think because I'm now just purely along for the ride, and as long as I can give crowds a fun fight to watch, I can support shows, you know, help build it up, and then, you know, one day ride off into the sunset and just put my feet up. But for the time being, just keep doing it. I feel quite comfortable in front of a class. I feel quite comfortable being able to break things down for people to learn. And I think being able to teach, again, like if you're a fighter, you have to be quite selfish, especially like obviously the higher level you go, you need your fitness, your pads, you need your sparring, you need your recovery. It's all very centered on you. And if you've got a good team, they'll cater for that. When you're a coach, it's very much selfless. You're going to that show, you're going to this club, you're taking that person, you're staying late to answer questions, you're doing all this stuff. So your mindset has to be adjusted slightly. And with that obviously comes patience. And if your students aren't getting something, it's your job to pick up why. Are you explaining it in the right way? Are you breaking it down in the right way? Are they engaged with you in the sense that you're not just sort of like teaching them a combo and telling them to do that? Why is it going to work? How's it going to work? Do you have a good story or experience to show them why this will work? And I think being able to build that connection with people in the class and help them take those first steps is always very rewarding. And on top of that, you kind of, when you teach someone a martial art, when you teach someone, you know, Thai boxing here, one of the nicest things you can get ever is someone who has zero idea of what they're physically capable of doing. Yeah. And they'll maybe do their first bit of light play, and they never in a million years thought they were going to be able to do that. And they've come in, they've had a nice fun session, and they've learned something. And for a second, they felt like top dogs. And that's really nice to see that. You see people get lifted. So yeah, that's the sort of reward of being a teacher. And in terms of the actual style of teaching, again, I was taught by great coaches here, and essentially I just nicked their styles. Nick their style and twist it a little bit to make it my own, and it's worked. There's always a part of you when you kind of want it to go well. If it's people I've trained with a lot, yeah, and they're performing at a sort of like a nice high level as well, I'm always rooting for them, and you're obviously a little bit more nervous that what if something goes wrong. But it's definitely harder to watch fights than it is to actually, I think, have a fight. Have a fight, your brain is just, that's what you're focused on. When you're watching a fight or cornering, it's all wildly different. And every punch seems way more dangerous when it's like coming into your guy. And so, because you're exposed to it a lot more, and you're breaking things down in a way which, you know, helps you kind of internalize it as well. And again, you're just sort of, you're always explaining stuff. So by nature, you're always taking that in as well. And because you're always answering questions about things, you're kind of solving problems in your head as well. So yeah, definitely. I mean, most of the UK fighters I know who are, you know, fighting at like very high level, I think all of them teach or PT as well. And I can't imagine it hinders them in any way.
Yeah.
I think naturally for me, I tend to start fights a little bit slower, to the annoyance of my corner team. I always start a little bit more chill than I should. But I wouldn't say I've ever been an out and out sort of technical fighter. I think my style is suited more to slowly, gradually push the pace forward, you know, not just fall into the clinch, but try and apply pressure.
Little bit like a traditional Thai style, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
they seem
yeah.
to pick up the
And I
pace
think-
as the rounds go.
Yeah, exactly. Try and score bigger. I definitely finish much stronger than I start. And I think one of the things is that I can adapt and turn it up if I need to. And yeah, just essentially try and pile on the pressure as the rounds go. I think that's probably the best way to describe it. The more you study Thai, the more you sort of go back to the golden era fighters. I'm a huge fan of Diesel Moy being a tall guy using his knees all the time. Fans like Samar, all that stuff. In terms of like even old KO fighters, to be honest, big fan of Greg's. Like watched a bunch of his fights, loved, because everything he did never looked like it was really difficult or was very hard, and it always just was really effective. Do you know what I mean? Every time I watched his kicks, they never looked like they were the hardest shots in the world, but I know they were working. I think actually, to be fair, I'm a big fan of the UK domestic scene, especially the 72.5 kilo category. There's some really great people there. I like Brad and Charlie Guest for last year at Bournemouth. That was a wicked fight. I've met Tyler at a few shows. I've seen a bunch of his fights. Again, I really like his style.
You kind of pinch a little bit off everyone, innit? You like how they do this, you like how they do that.
I think it's weird because because you go to so many, you see so many shows where there's arguably always a great fight on one of these shows, and you can take a look at any weight division and go, okay, that person's wicked. I want to steal a bit of that. Okay, that's a really cool fight. Or, you know, you can look at the heavier guys. Oh, I really like that. There's a wicked way of fighting. I think we've got at the moment. There's a very good scene, and there's a lot to pick from. And you know, they fight internationally as well. So Big Mo, slightly injured at the moment, but he is a seriously good fighter. I don't even know what weight he's going to end up fighting at because he's still so young. So he's finding out, how much he can cut. But from watching him progress, he's just become so hard to deal with. I watched him fight a few times, and he looks absolutely lethal. Shaq is going to be really good. Seb is incredibly technical. We've got as I say, like, again, different weight divisions, a lot of different people. Ben Hubble, again, he's not training at the moment, but he's an absolutely lethal kickboxer. Again, weight class above me, but similar size, so annoyingly we have to spar quite a lot. It's an absolute nightmare to deal with. I think in general, the active fighters here. Yeah, I feel like there's definitely, now we've got a good team in place with the sort of current fight team. There's a really good squad of people actively going out to shows, performing on shows, and yeah, you see that the level everyone is competing often and at a good level, and everyone is looking for the next step. As I say, I've done a few now. I want to go up to C class. I've done N class. I want to go to C class. Okay, cool. What's pro-am? What's for me at pro-am? What's for me at A class? And yeah, there's always a nice moment when you're, someone has shown they've got the goods and they're up for joining the fight team. And there's always that couple of months where they're just finding out, oh my God, this is another jump up. And then there's a point where they get it and they start blocking your stuff a little bit more, catching your kicks, countering you. And then you kind of feel like, okay, good, they've arrived. They get it now. Yeah. So definitely, there's a good consistent squad here across K1 and Thai, and everyone is constantly trying to get out, which is great. I mean, the staff here, when I was just a student, when they said, okay, you're good enough, to start training at a better level now. I will always be grateful to Rory and Brad for kind of singling me out and saying, yeah, we think you're going to be a good fit. Because without that, I'm just kind of always going through the motions of trying this class, doing another interclub. So they saw it, and they very much like helped me get to this point. Also with the teaching and the running and things, and the sort of culture of how we do things here. And then I think on top of that, I've got, you know, my girlfriend at home who's been very understanding. The day I came back, went, I want to fight. And instead of going, well, you do it on your own. She was incredibly supportive, and she has been supportive. Yeah, to like come me to a weigh-in because I'm actually, you know, depleted. And then, yeah, I think anyone from the gym who's come to just bought a ticket, come to a fight, all that, reposted something, it all helps because they don't think it does help, but it all helps.
Yeah,
it all helps. You know, there comes to a point where people start recognizing you at shows, or they start going, "Oh, I saw you. Oh, well done. That was great." And without everyone's input, that's nothing. So,
good.
Always grateful to them as well.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Charlie, listen, thank you for taking time to speak to me. Enjoyed this.
Pleasure.
Enjoyed getting to know you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Cheers.